All right, and we are live with this beautiful, at least where I am here in Canada, Wednesday, September 10th is today's date, and we are on deck for our normal writing sprints. That's three 20-minute sprints with three 20-minute sprints with a 5-minute break in between each one. Oh, I hope the writing goes smoother than this intro. But it's done now, and I can get to the part where I can just chat with people. Though I should say all the links to today's sprints are down below me in the description, and I am going to share the first one in the chat here, just in case you can't see the description or what have you. But let's check out the chat, see who is hanging out here. I saw NJ and Athena have been here for a bit. Hello, hello, Athena. Congratulations on finishing your draft. That's fantastic. You should be very proud, and we're all proud of you, I'm sure. TW is here as well. Hello, hello. Elena, hello. Elena giving us some insight into a new duology that you're thinking about, which is very exciting. Um, let's see who else. Who else? David is here. Hello, David and Iva. Hello, Aaron. Hello. It's raining in London. You know what? I like the rain. Maybe it's the Scottish blood in me, but I am a big fan of overcast dreary weather. I'm enjoying this the sunshine that's here now because it's been like 40 degrees for most of the summer, which is like what 106, 108 for my American friends. Hello, hello. All right, awesome. Let me keep scrolling down. Danny's here too. Hello, Danny. Fantastic. And Athena, I saw that you said it's a hard habit to break showing up here. And we're glad to have you here. But one of the things that I've learned is that it is very difficult to go from having a writing habit. No, it's very easy to go from having a writing habit to not having one, but it's very difficult going from having one to not having one to having one again. And so what I try to do, and what I suggest people do if they can to an extent, is try and keep up that habit in some way, whether that be revising, habitually the same time you would every day that you write, or treat it with the same reverence that you would your writing time, jotting down notes for a future story, working on the outlining for the next story, writing a short story, jumping right into your next draft if you're a pantser, if you've done some plotting already. Something to keep up the habit, because it's substantially easier to revamp it if it's gone down a little bit than it is to go from 100 to nothing to 100 again, right? Oh, okay. NJ saying, yeah, I appreciate that. For as globalized as things are, there's still a lot of complications for us lay people when it comes to to international shipping. Emily's desk is a mess, so you have to take a few minutes to clear it off. Well, thank you for joining us, and sure, use the first sprint or part of it to get all tidy. Jane, hello, Jane. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. Maybe it's because I haven't done an event in a week. But Rosalinda, hello, hello. Ashley, hello. Just arrived. The roads are a mess. Danny saying, I hate how simple the best advice is. That I cannot agree more. Actually, I, you know, write a few words every day if you can. Eat healthy, get out, exercise. Do things that make you happy. Don't spend more than you earn. Like, very simple advice, very difficult to follow at the best of times. Sometimes. Athena, you're taking that as permission to expand your world. Hey, you know what? You deserve to celebrate. Don't get me wrong, and maybe we'll talk about this after the first sprint. Celebration. If you've been around any of my lectures, my workshops, my duggets that I dish out, you've certainly heard me say that you should be rewarding yourself. We'll dive into it a little bit more, but yeah, definitely reward yourself. So try and keep up the habit, right? Don't drill it so hard that you exhaust yourself over it, but yeah, have fun with it. If keeping up the habit means expanding the universe and doing some world building and just doing some free writing, like, go for it. Absolutely go for it. Exercise. I thought you said extra fry. Ah. Oh, and Jane, you've had some migraines this summer. I'm sorry. That stings. I've only ever had a couple migraines in my life. I don't get them chronically like some of my friends do, and I'm thankful. All right, I hear the beat. Here we go. Number one start. We'll see every 20 minutes. Bye for now. All right, so ends our first sprint of the day. How did everybody do? Let me know in the chat there. I just shy of 800 words. I was going pretty quickly this time around. Let me grab the link to the second one. But as always, you'll find that link down below me in the description or in the top left of the sprint we were just doing. If you join me over in wordsprints.org. Let me drop that sprint in there. Okay, okay. Let's see. Extra fries and a Big Mac, please. Oh, Sarah's here. Long time no see. Yeah. Not writing this evening, but just saying hi. Hopefully see you all tomorrow. Well, lucky for you tomorrow. I mean, lucky or unlucky, depending on who your favorite is. And I'm not going to get you to say it. I'm just going to pretend it's always me. Hank's off. So Abby and I are tag teaming tomorrow's sprint. So you'll get to see me again. You'll get to see Abby tomorrow. Rosalind 72, so much deleting. Hey, deleting is a very important part of the writing process. David 218, excellent. Aaron 63, fantastic. Aaron, how deep are we in the revision process this time around? Ashley got 602, had to do some research, giving hints to the backgrounds of your characters by their food. Oh, so the fries got you. I see. Elena 423, excellent work. Emily 0, reading through an outline, no idea if it works or not. Hey, you're never gonna know until you go through it and see what's what. Do a little bit of a litmus test, see if the arcs are there, see if the conflict makes sense, see if the world makes sense, but also leave yourself room for flexibility in the writing. Matt, hello, hello. Editing a manuscript, figured out how and began to fix a section. That's fantastic. Well, good. I'm glad we can provide the atmosphere for that. Let me switch over to my other screen, and then I will just get rid of that for a second. Sarah saying, you're all my favorites. Okay, well, that's the kind of answer that I, give to my friends when they ask who's my favorite. So I appreciate it. NJ283-ish, you want a barbecue burger with extra bacon. Awesome. TW was researching door knockers. Okay, I got to be a door knocker for a friend's parent way back in high school. I think she was running for not city council, but something else, something similar. Aaron's not very deep, not trying to get too nitpicky or you'll never get it done. That's fair. One of the things that I'm going to post over in W Campus over at w.com if you haven't joined the best writing community on the internet. I got my copy edits back for my novella on Monday. And what I want to post and share is to let people know not to get overwhelmed by the number of track changes that are given to you when you get an edit. Because as an editor, I've sent back copies with 10,000, 15,000 plus track changes in them. And as an editor, as someone who has written or has read this manuscript of my own 4 or 5 times, still got 1,100 track changes back in a 60,000 word draft. Now, a lot of those are when I do track changes, if it then should be then or vice versa, I'd highlight it and then replace it. This editor deleted one letter and then added another, which counts as 2 changes. But regardless, don't get overwhelmed by the number of changes in it. And this is why I always say don't edit your own work, right? Like, yes, do it to an extent, revise it as much as you can, train yourself to look for those errors. But especially if you're indie publishing, don't indie publish without saving up for and hiring a copy editor. You really want that look there to make sure that there aren't mistakes and errors that your brain has just processed as the way it is before it goes out to the masses. So that's my project when I'm done work this week, is to incorporate all of those and get it set up so I can finally get a lead magnet going for my email list, which is what we're talking about in this month's W Academy workshop, all about author platforms and a strong emphasis on the email list and the newsletter and lead magnets. So if you are part of W Academy, make sure you register for that. That's over in our part of the community at w.com. If you're not a member, you can always join W Academy over in the community or by becoming a Dabble Premium member to get access to that workshop. And we have like 40, almost 50 hours of workshop recordings now. Okay, I am yapping away, and it's somehow time for the next sprint. Happy writing, everyone. See you in 20 minutes. All right, so ends our second sprint of the day. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Let me know how you did. I got 7:45 that time around. Keo finally made it to a Doug sprint fashionably late. I was gonna say not finally, but hey, fashionably late better than too late, I guess. So glad to see you here, Keo. Let me do that, and I will copy all my other words or my words over to the third sprint. And like I said before, the link to that is down below me in the description, but I'm going to share the link in the chat there too. Ashley got 677, Rosalinda 294, a lot more than last time. David got 359, excellent. All right. Yeah, you're always at work. That dang work, right? Always getting in the way. LTW found a door knocker that you liked, a gold butterfly one. Excellent. One of the things that I want to talk about today, and I realized I said we'd talk more about Athena's situation and whatnot, but one of the things that I want to talk about is dialogue tags. And I've spoken about dialogue tags before, and I know there's two different camps of people: those who prefer said and asked as your 99% use case, and those who like the more descriptive ones, shouted, whispered, muttered, what have you. And if you want a deep dive into dialogue tags, we do have a course about writing dialogue over at Dabble Academy. But I'm not here to just plug that. I'm listening to a book. It's The Inheritance of Magic, I think, by Benedict Jacko. And it's all right so far. I'm not too far into it, so I'm not going to weigh in on the story itself, but I'm listening to it as an audiobook, and what I found is that there was a conversation going on between four people, our main character and his friends. And if I were reading it, this wouldn't have been a problem because it was dialogue, someone said, dialogue, I said, dialogue, someone else said. And if you're reading that, sorry, if you're reading that, that's nothing. Your brain kind of skips over those. You get the gist of it. You understand the context. That's fine. In an audiobook, though, when you have so much short dialogue in a row followed by a dialogue tag that is always someone said, I said, he said, she said, what have you, it becomes very noticeable. And honestly, it becomes almost jarring to the point where I was like, okay, this, like, I'm more distracted by the dialogue tag than I am by the conversation that's going on. And this was a very specific situation where it was a bunch of friends catching up. And so it was short bursts of conversation. And you didn't have the context, especially because we just met these characters, you didn't have the context available to omit dialogue tags. And so they had to be there. But in this situation, I would say, more action after a dialogue to indicate the character would be good. Again, difficult in this case because they're sitting around having a drink at the pub. But more action, even just lowering his glass, raising his glass, signaling the waiter over, whatever, something other than said, or just a different tag that's not said, right? Whispered, muttered. So I even said excitedly. I'd take an adverb at this point to break it up. So the moral of this story is not me hating on said, even though I do like a little more pizzazz in some of my dialogue tags. I'm more of like a 75%, 80% said, 20% not. The moral of the story is that the way that we consume stories is changing, and has been changing for a while. Audiobooks continue to be the part of the market that eats up more and more space and is more the way that people consume their stories these days. Um, so keep that in mind when you're doing revisions, not when you're drafting the first time around, but be reading your draft out loud as part of your revision process so you can catch these instances of things that will happen when someone's listening to your story being told rather than reading it. That's my nugget for today. That's a little piece to add to your toolbox. Not something to worry yourself about now when we're sprinting, something to think about when you're revising. All right. Let me get onto the right sprint here because all of that yapping, it's now time to sprint. Enjoy the last sprint of the day, everyone. We'll chat in 20 minutes. Bye for now. All right. That is our third and final sprint of the day done. How did everybody do that? I'm trying to click the X on my display screen here. I got 8:15 the time around. Total of 23:57 this time, which is good because I've been having some very slow writing days lately. Like I've been sitting down for the bare minimum 15 minutes that I like to get in just to say, hey, I've written today. But I really want to get this draft done by the end of this month, which means I'm aiming for 60 to 70,000 words, and I still have another probably 30,000 words to write after today, which like is a lot. We're running out of September, so wish me luck. Let me pull that off there. There we go. Before I celebrate everyone's wins here, let me just first make sure to remind you, if you wrote in wordsprints.org with me, copy and paste your words out. They will save on your device in that sprint for 24 hours. Then they'll be gone. So make sure you get those out of there. Let's check in on the chat. NJ got 383. Fantastic. Oh, no, that was her last one. Sorry, I'm behind. Athena had to take off, but I'm glad that she could join us. Rosalinda got 340. Awesome. TW 472. Fantastic. Ashley got 670 in that sprint and 1955 total. That's awesome. Almost your entire second chapter. They're getting ready for a protest. That's great. Awesome. I love civil action, real or fictional. So good on them. Emily did 3 sprints, so that's good. You've got an outline with some questions to find answers to tomorrow. That's awesome. Great setup and great work, right? People think that sprints, these kind of sprints, are just for writing the first draft, but you can do your outlining here. You can do your editing, your revising, any writing work, or if you have to do other work, any work in general. You're welcome to join us here for that. NJ got 400-ish this time around. Ashley, you're aiming to have your first draft done by the end of November. Fantastic. I echo Jane's message here. Well done, everyone. Great. David got 791. Fantastic. Iva was outlining. That's fantastic as well. NJ's working on the challenge the kids gave you last week. Very cool. Keo came to Vibe, didn't feel like writing. Hey, we're here for vibes too. Absolutely. More than welcome. Yeah, you can treat it like a productivity sprint. You do whatever you want. So long as you're having a good time, I'm having a good time. And with that said, we are all done for today. So again, tomorrow, Abby and I will be co-hosting sprints in Hank's absence. So we will be on at 12:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, same time, same place. And we don't have any other Dabble events this week. Next week, we have our regularly scheduled sprints, but we also have at 2 p.m. next Wednesday, so a week today, a week and 12 minutes from today, Hank's going to be chatting with Steve Bollier on the current and future fantasy landscape. And Steve works in fantasy publishing and is a fantasy author as well, a good friend of the show. And yeah, I'm excited. For that one. It's always great to get some insight because, I write fantasy too. So, so that's extra good for me. And then again, if you are a W Academy member, it's Work in Progress Wednesday. Go share some writing over in our community and register for this month's workshop because it's going to be a great one. Thank you for joining me. It's been a blast as always. Thank you for holding me accountable for my writing. Thank you for holding each other accountable and for encouraging each other. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.